So Jack and I are gathering in the very last of our firewood, and we have a problem with our wood splitter. Our wood splitter has got grease zerts. That's how you lubricate the slide here, and they have gotten gummed up, and they no longer can we get grease in them. So this is kind of a typical problem, a typical thing for those of you guys who have small equipment and tractors. So I will bring you along, and I'm going to be teaching you too how to remedy this issue.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. All right, what happens to these things is as they sit, the grease inside gets dry and hard, and then you just can't push it in any longer. So. And
then people send it to Juicy Fruit Factory?
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Well, Juicy Fruit has a, he said that was gum, like gum, and Juicy Fruit sold factory.
Oh, yes. 9-year-old humor. All right, so Jack, so this little thing is called a grease zert. We've taken it out of there, and it locks into the end of the grease gun, right? The first thing we need to do is test it to see if this is clogged up. So if we put it in there, okay, we have another problem here. See this? Come on up here and look at this, Jack. If you put your grease gun on there, and the grease comes out the side, that's not sealing properly. That means that the tip is worn out. So we need to go replace this before we go any further. So your great-granddad Chester was always prepared for everything. And I think if you open that drawer right there.
This one?
No, one down. You will find, what's that?
Grease gun.
Yep.
We're all grease guns.
So let's put that on the grease gun, see if that doesn't fix our problem. So with the grease gun tip in the vise, Jack is going to spin off. Once it's loose, you should be able to use your fingers. We'll spin off the old tip. Yeah, try using your fingers now, once you got it loose.
It's about to come out.
Mm-hmm. Jack, it's important when I look at me. When I tell you something, I'm saying it for a reason.
Yes.
Okay? Go ahead and spin that off and try putting the new one on, see if that fits.
So shiny and blue, this thing won't connect.
So our grease gun here, you can see it's got 3 little jaws in there. Mm-hmm. And this should snap in nice and tight. Especially on these new ones, they should be really almost difficult to put in. Right, just like that. See how tight that was in there?
Yeah, that's pretty difficult.
And then now when we do our grease, it should come out the tip. There you go. And not out the sides anymore. Mm-hmm. The reason why that came out the sides like that is it was just simply worn out. So before we put our grease zert in, Jack has got a little dental pick or just any sort of a little ice pick or so. Go in there and clean all that out of there, and you'll get some hard goobers out of there. And also compressed air works really good. So once I do that, I'll put my air tip. It's nice to have, if you have a compressor, you should have one of these tips. It's kind of a shop air tip with a rubber nose on it. And I'll put this in here, and I can hear the air escaping, so I know that it's clear. So Jack, I want you to put this grease zert back in, tighten it up, and we'll see if that works. It's a small little zert, so not much pressure. Alright, so now we can see if it's going to take grease. A grease gun it puts a tremendous amount of pressure, and it's basically a hydraulic jack. Go ahead, Jack.
Alright.
Pump it up and see what happens. Is it going through there? So when you're doing your grease, you're looking on the side right there to see if it's coming out. So we know that it's not coming out here, so it's going in there somewhere. So alright, that's close enough. So let's check the other side now. One thing I always try to do with teaching Jack, it's amazing how much knowledge we've acquired over the years, and you really become aware of that when you are working with your kids. So many things that you just take for granted to know. So jobs like this, I try to do it with him first, and then so he understands it and participates, and then I try as much as possible to have him do it on his own the second time. So Jack is going to do this side by himself. Now, always keep your tools organized and everything in its place, and it makes your work a lot easier. Now take your dental pick and dig that out. Yeah, if you reach in there, you should probably get some goobers in there. Go round and round and pull them out. Now take your air hose there and push it real tight. Push it with all your strength. And then let the air go. All right, is it coming out? All right, sounds free. Here's a little trick, Jack, that I've learned when I have my work gloves and I'm kneeling in gravel or a hard surface like that. I'll throw them down and I'll put my knees on them. That protects my pants and just makes my work a lot more comfortable.
Okay, I'll try that.
One thing you need to learn when you're tightening fasteners or little bolts, that not to put too much pressure on them. Smaller bolts a little bit more. Do you see how in there the threads are not touching? Mm-hmm. You see that gap? Mm-hmm. You should be able to tighten that until that gap disappears on this type of a zert. There's a saying the old timers had, Jack. It was a stitch in time saves 9. You know what that means? That means seamstresses back in the day, if they could catch a garment that was coming unsewed in the first stitch, they would only have to do 1. But if they put it off, they would have to do 9. You have to do a lot more work. And so what that means is preventative maintenance and taking care of things when they break immediately rather than...
It's coming out the sides now.
Rather than waiting, does what?
Helps you.
Saves you time and money.
So it's coming out the sides now.
Yep, it's working. Now we can go do some firewood.
Another pump.
So if you just can't get enough Wranglerstar, it's Flashback Friday. Bringing back some classics. On the top left is a video covering my hunting loadout, my hunting rifles. On the top right is an adventure that I took when Mrs. Wranglerstar was out of town, where I circumvented the base or the alpine area of Mount St. Helens. Many of you will remember that was the big volcano that blew off in 1980. And that was an amazing trip. On the bottom left is a gravity water filter system that we've used for many years now and couldn't be happier with. We have not had to replace the filters, and it is a wonderful system, and something, if you are into preparedness and homesteading, is a must-have item, whether you're in the city or the country. And finally, on the bottom right is my AR-15 tactical loadout, how I carry mags, pistol, something every homesteader should do. You need to have this in order and to be able to take the steps to defend you and yours. So I hope you enjoy those videos, and I'll put the subjects links in the subject heading for you mobile users as well, and we'll see you guys in the next video.